The first question was, having given up on the Percy Jackson TV series, not even by the third episode of season 1, what kept you watching through season 1, and what are your gripes with season 2? The easy answer to the first of those questions is I keep watching for two reasons. One, given my channel and my platform, I feel like it's my responsibility to have opinions on it and to continue to follow up with the series, because I was labeled on Reddit at one point the voice of Percy Jackson. And I think that it would be irresponsible of me to continue doing these live streams if I were not to be in the know about what's going on in the greater Percy Jackson fandom. I also just have the hope that it'll get better. And the hope that, when season 3 comes along and season 4 comes along, which we know we're getting a season 3, these are things that have never been adapted before. And I would like to see things either get better or just be able to see things that I've never seen on screen before. I've made it clear before that Sea of Monsters is probably my least favorite Percy Jackson book. And so going into this season, I was not looking forward to it from that perspective. I also had a lot of issues with season 1 in terms of the characters, the acting choices, the directing choices, the storyline and changes that they made from the book to screen. And I knew that in season 2, those issues were almost certainly going to get worse. And I think, halfway through the season now, I can safely say that those worries that I had for season 2 have come to fruition. There are a few that I really want to note, and I want to be careful with the way that I address these things. Because I think that in an irresponsible way, they can come off as insensitive. And the first thing being that the characters that I'm watching on screen are not the characters that I'm reading in the book. And there are in the last episode, for example, as of me recording this, that is episode 5, the Circe episode and the Sirens episode. There are 3 characters in that episode that really stand out as being drastically different. 2 characters, one of which is not on screen. Those being Annabeth, Tyson, and Circe. And I'll start with Circe because we only see her in one episode. And this wraps into a greater issue of they are condensing the story in a way that requires them to change the pacing of the book into the TV show. And the way that they're doing it compresses the story. It changes some of the best aspects of the book, and it also changes the characters. When we see Circe in episode 5, nothing about her is a secret. And nothing about her matches what it does in the book. For example, we very obviously see male counterparts on the island. There are men on the island. We don't see that in the book. It is literally an island full of women. And then Percy disappears. We still get the Percy disappearing aspect, but it is not a secret necessarily. We never guess who Cece is. She outright says, "I'm Circe," and it's not a secret. I think her actual quote is, "I'm not hiding it," or "I'm not hiding anything." That's frustrating to me because one of the biggest issues that I have with the series as a whole is that it is written for people who have already read the books. And it takes away all of the tension and the mystery behind the books. And so it expects us to already know or already feel the mystery and mystique from the books. And so it either subverts it in the TV show or it doesn't give us any tension at all. I mentioned it with episode 1. We never get the reveal that Tyson is a Cyclops. Tyson is introduced to us as a Cyclops. So that's my issue with Circe. My issue with Tyson, and like I said, he's not in this episode because the only surprise they're going to give us this season is that he's still alive, which is a surprise from the book. He explodes, we think he's dead, and then he comes back at the end, he's still alive. That is the only surprise that they're letting us keep for this season. Tyson is very different than his book counterpart. I understand why, but it is still frustrating. Tyson in the books is a stand-in for a character with mental disabilities. They literally use the R word in the book to describe Tyson. And that is the character that we're introduced to. And Percy, from the beginning of the book, sees him as a hindrance, as an extra responsibility. That is completely changed in the TV show. And it was changed in the film, too. This isn't just a TV show issue. The issue with it comes from the fact that Tyson, in the TV show, lacks the innocence and joy that the character from the book has. Tyson is not the lovable character from the books in the TV show. Tyson is just a Cyclops. Like, we don't know anything about Tyson beyond he's Percy's friend and he likes tinkering with things. All of the joy and the mystery and the wonder that we have from Tyson in the books is missing in the TV show. And my other issue character-wise is with Annabeth. And we're not talking about the casting at all here. This has nothing to do with the casting. This has entirely to do with the way that she's written, and specifically the way that she's written in episode 5. And the reason that I bring up that in episode 5 is because they changed my personal favorite scene in that book. My favorite Annabeth scene in the entire series is the siren scene. And in the book, what we get with Annabeth is her hubris, which is changed in the show. Her hubris in the books is not the pride. It is the desire to be wanted and the desire to know that she's wanted. And we kind of see that in the TV show, but her driving force to see the sirens isn't to get away from Cersei. They changed that. They combine the two together, and in order to escape Cersei, you have to get past the sirens. That is not the case in the books. In the books, they have to pass the sirens elsewhere, and Annabeth personally chooses to witness them. She wants to know what the song sounds like, and she wants to face them face to face to see if she can. That is where her pride comes in. It is completely changed in the TV show. It also changes what she sees. What she sees with the sirens, and this is a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen the TV show yet, in the show is a conversation between Percy, Grover, and Luke. That never appears in the books, that never really appears elsewhere in the TV show, and she confronts it and then has to face her mother, and then she's saved by Percy. That is not at all what happens in the books. The books is a really, really impactful scene where she sees herself trying to be a part of this family with her father and her father's new family. We have yet to meet her father in the TV show. He has been cast for season 3. The interesting dynamic in the book that I think is never talked about is the fact that Annabeth's otherness from her family comes from her race. We never talk about that. And I think it's a really, really interesting thing about her that, given the fact that they swapped the character's race in the TV show, should be touched on. That Annabeth feels ostracized from her mortal family because her brothers are Asian. Like, she doesn't belong to her family because she looks different from her family. So if you made Annabeth's stepmom in the TV show white and made her siblings look different from her, you would somewhat save that dynamic, and that is completely missing from the TV show. And it's one of my favorite scenes in the book because Annabeth has to confront this thing about herself, that she will never look like a part of her family. She will never feel like she's a part of her family. And they took that away completely. And so I'm very frustrated because it's becoming apparent that the TV show is not made for a fan like me. And I've been called a book purist. I've been called a lot of things because of my opinions on the TV show. And it's less to do with the fact that I don't like the TV show. It's about the fact that everything I like about the books is absent. I am watching different characters. I'm watching different storylines. It's catching the same story beats. They're visiting the same locations. But the joy and the wonder and the surprise and the tone that I feel from the books is completely absent from the TV show.